Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Global Career Scholarship. I know in the last video I've already read to all of you my personal statement and how it looks like. And this time I was thinking that I'm going to analyze my personal statement and also I'm going to share some of the tips, what was behind my thought process as I prepared for the personal statement for the scholarship. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that writing a personal statement is uh, not a piece of cake. It's very difficult for us as students, especially engineering students who have not learned how to write this sort of essays or writings or statements. I know it might not be too difficult to write a personal statement, but to write a personal statement that helps you stand out from the rest, it's not a piece of cake. It's difficult. And so I just want to encourage you that I've been through the same process and I've been there and I felt the same. I felt difficult that I could not do it. But at the end of the day, if you started writing, if you start preparing, I think you are on the right track. So looking back to when I prepared for the application, it was as challenging as what you are going through now, and uh, I didn't really know where to start. But I remember two other things that I did, in which I think would be helpful for you as you prepare for your personal statement or statement of purpose. So basically, I started answering the questions, the prompt questions. So I just wrote whatever I wanted to write that answered to particular questions. And during my time, there were four questions or four prompt questions or sentences. And I think it's a good start to not care much whether or not you have it in order, whether or not you have the right flow. It's important that you start first answering all the questions that they want to know. So for each question, you can write as long as you want at first, and then do not have it interfere your process. Just keep writing as long as it answers the questions. And it takes some time because you have to reflect on your past, reflect on what you're doing, and what you want to do in the future. And then after writing, after answering all the questions, you start to figure out the right flow. What flow is the best? Which sentences to be put at which positions in your personal statement, and that comes later. And also, I think the second thing I did was to try to think of the achievements or the work experiences or the volunteer experiences that I want to include. I think that it's necessary to be included in my personal statement. And then I started to briefly write the values, the lesson learned that I got from each experience, from each event. So these are the two first things that I really did as I started preparing for the personal statement. So right now, let's analyze the personal statement that I used for the submission in 2019. And again, as I read to all of you my statement of purpose, and I acknowledged that there were flaws in which I think I could have improved to make uh, my statement of purpose even better. And the same thing goes with the personal statement. And as I read, I felt like there are still a few points if I could have improved, I could have done better. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as perfect. As long as you keep reading it, as long as you keep writing, preparing for it, you start to see flaws, and that's a good thing. It means that you keep improving as you put your heart and mind into working on it. And and I remember that I shared in my last video. I'm not sure if it's in my mother tongue or if it's in English, but this is one of the characteristics of an applicant, of an aspiring applicant, of a truly aspiring applicant, that you need to have a heart that you want to always do best. You're not always satisfied with what you've done, with what you've written, but as long as you still have time, you always see flaws and you want to always work to improve it. And back then in my personal statement, I made it into four different paragraphs. And it was because there were four sub-questions or sentences. And as you can see highlighted in yellow, the first question is about my motivations with which I applied for this program. And as you can see, I wrote my motivations as to why I really wanted to go for my master's degree study, and specifically in Korea. So I listed down the characteristics that Korea has and Korean people have. For the motivation part, I think it can be anything. It can be you working with Korean colleagues. It can be you working with Korean students on any other projects, on any projects. And it can be you learning about Korean culture by joining different camps. It can be anything that you have involved that is related to Korea, Korean culture, Korean tradition. It really can be anything, and from that, what you've learned from the event, from the experience, that really urge you to, okay, I must apply for higher education, for a scholarship to study in Korea. So I think I also included some of the reasons here in my last paragraph, in which I mentioned here, saying that, okay, Korea has known for its advanced laboratories and advanced research laboratories or facilities in which it will be helpful to my research work in the future. So yes, you can see I did answer the first question, which answers to the question for my motivations in which I apply specifically for this program, specifically for Korea. And the second one, they asked us to write about our education and work experience in relation to the program of the major that you are applying to study in Korea, your master's, your PhD, your research, right? So I did write about also my motivation that led me towards engineering degree. As you can see, highlighted in blue here. And also I did describe what I learned during my undergraduate degree. And also that led me to some other like events during my undergrad degree and what it taught me, and it led to my work experience. So again, just to emphasize, in every event, volunteer experience can be work experience. It can be the competition that you join during your undergrad or during your class, during your school years. It's important that you write it with a lesson learned that you obtain from those events, right? To me, it's important not to just only list down facts, list down your achievements, but to also list down what you have learned, what you've got from each event that you participated in. So make sure that you list down your educational and work experience that relate to the program you're applying for. And here it can be a little bit tricky for those who are looking to shift their major, but it's okay as long as you have anything to back up. And if you have joined competition, if you have taken online courses, if you have participated in any events that help you prove to the selection committee that you have what it takes to to nail your master's program or to do it well during your master's program, I think that's all it takes, right? You don't have to have a 4-year degree background. All it takes for you is to have maybe work experience or taking online courses or joining different competitions, as I mentioned, and that would help you prove yourself to the selection committee that you are ready. Not having a 4-year degree, educational experience in the same field that you're applying for your master's degree is not a barrier. Reasons for studying in Korea. So it's very similar to the first point highlighted in yellow. It includes like characteristics that I mentioned in my first paragraph, and also you can see in my last paragraph I kept saying I already mentioned that I adore, I respect what Korean laboratories or research capacity is, right? That will help me to achieve my dream as a lecturer and a researcher in the future. And last but not least, it is any other aspects of your background and interest which may help the selection committee to evaluate your aptitude and passion for graduate study and research. And really here it can be anything. And to me, I think including the voluntary work is also significant in your personal statement. It shows that you are not only very good in school, in class, in your workplace, but also you make some time to give back to the society. And also, I think it kind of shows some of your characteristics, right? Your passion, your will, in order to give back to your community. And to me, when you write about your voluntary experience, you're showing your passion, you're showing your commitment, right? So I think it's the characteristics that you would also need and the aspects, the aptitudes that you can show towards the selection committee that you are ready. Because when you are passionate about something, you're committed about something, you are going to do it well. And please remember, just like writing an essay, you need an introduction, you need a good conclusion. So here you can see that I made a conclusion, basically summarizes, uh, basically summarize all the characteristics I think I have that help me, that make me stand out from the other applicants, and my readiness. And yeah, I think it's important to have a good conclusion as well. Now let's talk about the things that I think I could have done better. I think what I would have done better is here. It's at when I wanted to introduce what led me to engineering. If it's, I could have I could have said the motivations in which it led me to my specific major, which was electrical and electronics engineering, to better convince them that okay, this is really my true passion. Here I only mentioned what led me to engineering in general, not electrical and energy engineering. And here you can mention, it can be in a form of a person that has influenced you to pursue that career, and that you decided to follow that person's professional path. I think it would be good also if I mention some of the courses that I took, and those courses, those classes that led me to want to pursue a certain area, a specific area of energy engineering. And I think another point I could have done better is that in the work experience highlighted in blue here, I could have set some specific professional skills that I've got from the internship experience. Just saying it very general, like professional skills. But what professional skills did I gain? I didn't really specify it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few tips here. First of all, is that you try to center your personal statement around a main picture, a main value that you want to bring in your personal statement, that you want to let the selection committee know. And here, I think what I've been trying to convince the selection committee is that regardless of my performance in class, regardless of my background, family background, as long as I have commitment, as long as I have passion to do something, I can be as successful as other students that perform very good in class. I want to be a testimony. I want to be a role model to other people who have been through the same experience, who have grown up in the same backgrounds. So if you read my personal statement, I think you can just see that from start to the end, I've been trying to put in that sort of value in my writing. And what you should not do is that trying to center your personal statement around many points, around many topics, around many values, right? I don't think it's a good thing. And another thing that you should not do is that, I know when you are an overachiever, you try to list down all the achievements that you have got, which I think it's okay. You should be proud of yourself, and that's not a bad thing at all. But this is about writing personal statement. It's about choosing relevant achievements, work experience, right? It's important to not only list down all your achievements in your personal statement. That's why in your application, there is a part in which you can list down all your awards. So in personal statement, you only need to list down relevant achievements, awards, experiences. And the second one I think you should do is that in everything you do, every event, I know I mentioned it already, but you need to include the values, include the lesson learned that you've got from each event. If it's work experience, if it's internship experience, if it's voluntary experience, if it's the quote that you raise, what is the value? What does it really mean to you? What have you learned? How has it transformed you as a person, as a professional? So again, I know it's difficult writing a personal statement that makes you stand out from the rest, but it's important to start writing and start answering directly to the questions that they ask us to answer. And then once you are satisfied with the answers, you try to shortlist, I would say, those points, those achievements, those experiences, those thoughts that you have written down, and then later you can try to organize it in a flow that is natural, in a flow that is accurate, that is good. Okay, I think that's it for today's video and me analyzing my personal statement, as well as giving you some tips, some don'ts, some do's, and I hope it's going to be helpful towards your application preparation. I know it's going to uh, be open soon, probably next week. So just be ready for it and be prepared, regardless of the results. Make sure that you've tried your very best, and also make sure that you have all your documents being correctly authenticated, so that you can use it for your application, and you can have more time focusing on writing personal statement as well as statement of purpose. Again, I still believe that personal statement and statement of purpose are the two most significant elements in your application. And as some of you might be aware, that I applied for the scholarship via the embassy track with a very low GPA in the history, I guess. I got only 2.7, and it was like 81% at that time. I think my passion, my commitment, my story, and the achievements, the work experience helped make me stand out from the rest. So to those who have lower GPA, I would encourage you to keep working out on these elements, trying to figure out what can help make you stand out, regardless of your low academic performance or GPAs. All right, this comes to an end, and I hope it can be helpful in any way. And I wish you all the best as you're preparing for your application, and hope you get to go to your dream country, Korea. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.